Hey folks, Fernando doing a video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this video we're going to be talking about shotguns, types of ammunition, barrel lengths, what's the difference, and what are the pros and cons of whatever choice you make. This is based on the previous video that I did where I went through a police shooting in which an officer shot a suspect, a man with a sawed-off shotgun. Guys, someone was commenting in that video, look at all this police brutality, this is what you're seeing, these protests these days. That's all nonsense. If you have a gun and a police officer tells you to put it down and you don't do so once, twice, three times and you still don't put it down and you actually bring it out and point it towards the police officer, you're going to be getting shot anywhere in the world by even the best, kindest, most gentle police officer in the planet. There's really not much room there for anything else. Unless you want to catch a shot yourself, you have to defend yourself and you have to make sure that action does not continue. If he has a gun, you're telling him to put it down, he refuses to do so, and he points the gun towards you, that is pretty much all there is. So, having said all that, let's get into this video. One of the things that some people kind of don't understand so much is the differences in types of ammunition. Shotguns are very practical firearms. You can do a lot of things with these, and you know, from small game hunting, large game hunting, self-defense, pest control, sport, you can pretty much do all of it with a good shotgun and the right ammunition. Now, most cases in general, shotguns are, you know, loaded with the type of Birdshot that I have here right now. This is number 4, and this is what's inside this shell. Typical shotgun ammunition intended for small game hunting, that sort of thing. Number 4, the smaller that number is, the larger each of these pellets is. So 3 would be bigger, 2, 1, and so on. And typical 7, 8 shot, that's pretty fine shot that you have there, right? Then you go into some of the larger ones when talking about buckshot. Buckshot is basically large pellets and a smaller number of those. The typical double-aught buck that I have here, this is 9 pellets of 8.4 millimeters, give or take, and this is the typical load you will find law enforcement using, military, most places around the world, they will use double-aught buck, which has been proven to be maybe the most efficient man stopper in small arms. According to a bunch of different statistics, someone asked me which one was that. I don't remember exactly, but most reasonable stats point towards this. A double-aught buck is probably the best stopper that you can go for. This is most likely what that police officer was using, and with an accurate shot, yes, you do have to point your shotgun. With an accurate shot, with these impacting 9 shots at the same time in about this big of an area in the center of mass, that's going to be pretty devastating. Someone was commenting that there's a shock to the nervous system. Yeah, that's likely as well part of it. It's just a very effective round. Basically, that's what you have to keep in mind. And then finally, you have slugs, Foster slugs, or you know, it's just a single projectile. It's just you have different kinds. Some of these are just a large piece of lead. Some are a little bit more complex, like this one. But it's basically just one single projectile. This is very powerful. It's also very accurate as well. Some people think you cannot have accurate shot placement with a shotgun. Man, you definitely can. Some of these slugs are very accurate. If you know what you're doing and you have the right gun, which we're going to be getting to in a second, these can be very accurate, up to 50, 100 yards even, with the right combination of gun and ammunition. So, about that, what's the big difference? Well, you have different barrel lengths. Here I have, this is a Hudson Escort 14-inch barrel, ultra short semi-automatic shotgun, made in Turkey. They're quite good guns. I've shot one a lot for a class I did a few years ago. Liked it so much, I ended up buying this one. And if you go with a longer one, because of legal restrictions in your country, whatever that may be, it's perfectly valid. An 18-inch barrel, it's going to be basically like that Mossberg 500 over there. So it's really not all that big difference, and you have more ammo capacity. And that Mossberg 500 there on top, this is an English Mossberg 500, so it was imported back in its day from England actually, and the restriction in England is 24 inches for shotgun. Still, man, if you live in UK, if you're watching this from UK, you can have that kind of firearm. It's a pretty decent gun to have. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's not, even if you have crappy gun laws, and I know it sucks, it does, but if you can have something like this, you have a very decent firearm. So you have different barrel lengths, 14 inches, 18 and a half, and 24. What's a big difference? Well, first understand that the shorter the barrel, the less velocity you have, because the projectile will stay in the barrel less time as you fire the round, and more of that gunpowder is going to be burning outside the barrel, which is not helping in terms of speed, and it's going to be bigger muzzle flash, less velocity. Basically, that's the idea, and it goes for handguns, for rifles, and shotguns as well. The longer the barrel, the more velocity you have. How much more velocity? It depends. If you're just talking about a couple inches, give or take, it's not going to be significant. Now, if you go from a 14-inch barrel to a 24-inch barrel, man, there you have maybe 150, between 150 and 200 feet per second more, and that may be significant for your applications. For self-defense, usually, you know, with good ammunition, that difference will not be that much of a big deal, but especially if you're using this kind of gun for this kind of ammunition, for if you're firing slugs from your shotgun, more velocity not only means just more power, which, you know, if you want that, you will get it with a longer barrel, but besides that, it means more of a flat trajectory, and that's going to be making it for a nicer, more accurate shot, more similar to what you would have with a rifle. The big disadvantage with slugs when trying to make like a rifle-like shot is you don't have those speeds, you don't have those ballistics, you don't have that type of projectile, and whatever flattens that trajectory, that's going to be giving you a big advantage. Then there's also the matter of sight radius. The longer the barrel is, the more of a sight radius you will have, and longer sight radius, as we know, means you're more likely to get an accurate shot. It doesn't mean that a short barrel can't be accurate. This gun with that red dot there, this is super accurate. But if you're going to be using irons, longer sight radius does help. So you have more speed, you have more velocity in that shot, and you have a longer sight radius. What would be the advantage of having a shorter barrel? Well, it's mostly about something that's more handy, more practical for moving around, especially for indoors type of use. The shorter barrel means you're less likely to hit up, you know, stuff, walls, furniture, whatever. So it is a little bit more, quite more practical than the 24-inch barrel, definitely. 18 is handy enough. 14 is a nice short barrel length. Now, regarding the myths of short barrel lengths, it's more lethal, it's more powerful because it has a shorter barrel. It's a sawed-off shotgun, so that's more power and worse than a longer barrel. No, you're not getting more power. As I just said, you have less velocity, so you will have less power in a shorter barrel. A common myth is it's going to be spreading more. It's going to be like covering the entire room. No, you may have a little bit of more of a spread, mostly depending on the gun, depending on the ammunition, but it's really not that significant, especially at shorter ranges. It's not, the pattern is not going to be bigger because of the barrel length to any significant extent. There may be a little bit more of a spread, but not that much of a big deal. What makes a difference in terms of spread is the choke that you have. So what is a choke? The barrel is the same, those walls inside the barrel are pretty much the same. In a choke, it just narrows down. It chokes to a tighter fit, so when those pellets are going through that tighter choke, they compact and makes for a tighter, closer, more compact pattern, and that's going to be staying together at longer ranges. So especially for small bird hunting, that sort of thing, or even when using buckshot, it's going to be staying together at longer distances instead of spreading into a larger pattern. It's mostly about the choke, not the barrel length. The barrel length is going to be effective velocity, not all that much, if just a couple of inches. Yes, if you have quite a bit longer barrel. But that's where it comes down to. And you have guns that have fixed chokes, and you have guns that have removable chokes. You can just screw those. They screw to the tip of the barrel. And these two, for example, have cylinder chokes, so they don't have any choking at all. It just stays the same. Those walls inside stay the same. One thing that I noticed, sometimes people think, for example, this Mossberg comes in a combo package. It has that shorter barrel for a large game because of the sights and for home defense, and the longer barrel for bird hunting, for small game hunting. And people use that barrel and think, oh, it's a longer barrel and I'm getting a tighter pattern. It's because of the longer barrel. No, it's because the longer barrel in these combos usually has a choked barrel. So that's going to be choking that pattern a bit more, and that's why you get the smaller pattern, not because of the barrel length. The barrel length is to give you more velocity in that tighter pattern. Okay, guys? So basically, that's the take. What's my advice? I like the idea of going with semi-automatic. And if you're going to be going for home defense, go with Buckshot. If you're concerned about very thin dry walls, that sort of thing, it's a very legitimate concern. You can go with some of the larger small game shot, some of the larger one, the turkey loads, or these 00, these would be like BBs basically. So if you're going to be going with anything, with something other than slugs or buckshot, go with a larger shot. You can go. All right, BBs would be a good call for that. It's not going to be overly penetrating, and it's going to be quite effective at indoor ranges as well. You won't have much of a concern about that, even though this kind of thing will penetrate a lot less, and it's often been proven to fail completely to stop in some cases because it just doesn't penetrate enough so as to be nearly as effective as buckshot. Okay, guys, so that kept in mind. My suggestion is semi-automatic, 18-inch barrel that's going to be giving you a reasonable length, not too long, not too short, and also reasonable magazine capacity as well. Those are all things that can be handy in a home defense type of situation. Remember that for a lot of this stuff is covered in Street Survival Skills, my latest book, and the one I keep recommending for all of this stuff that you are seeing in different towns in US. And I do cover some of this stuff in terms of ballistics, explaining the difference between the different type of shot, buckshot, if it's a slug, what you're likely to expect from all of that, and a bunch of other stuff. And regarding the economic crisis, my first book, The Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse, all of these available in Amazon, following the links below. Have a great day. See you in our next video.